Today we're going to be doing Module 1, Lesson 8, Fluency. The materials you'll need are your online whiteboard. We're going to start by doing some group counting. So we're going to count by twos to 20. We're going to whisper the number and then speak them. Okay? So first you'll whisper a number and then you'll speak it normal. And then you'll whisper and then speak normal. We're going to start with 0. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep counting up. So when I point up, you're going to say 2. You're going to whisper 2. Ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Awesome. Now we're going to count by twos to 20 again, but this time we're going to hum the first number and then speak the next number. So last time we whispered, now we're just going to hum. Okay, as you hum, make sure you're thinking of the number in your head. And remember, if you need to follow along with your finger at the bottom of the screen, you can. When I point up, we're going to start by humming. As you hum, you're going to think 2. And then when we speak, we'll say 4. Ready? 4. 8. 12. 16. 20. Awesome. We are going to count by twos to 20 again. This time, instead of humming, we're just going to think every other number. Okay, so we're going to think it, but we're not going to say it. And while we're doing that, you might be thinking about this question in your head: what did we just count by? All right, so when I point up, you're going to say nothing because we're just thinking 2. Ready? 4. 8. 12. 16. 20. So what did we just count by? Go ahead and hold it up with your fingers, showing me what did we count by? I see some people holding up 2s, and we were kind of counting by 2s, but we weren't saying them. So because we were skipping them, it's almost like we were counting by 4s, because we went from 0 to 4, and then to 8, and then to 12, and then to 16, and then to 20, and we were skipping all those numbers in between. We were thinking them, but we weren't saying them. So out loud, we were counting by 4s. Well, let's go ahead and do that now. Let's count by 4s, and we're going to go all the way up to 40. So remember, this is something new. So if you need to use your finger to follow along at the bottom of the screen to keep track of where we're at, you can. When I point up, you're going to say 4. We're going to go all the way up to 40. Ready? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Great job. Now we're going to go ahead and count by threes. This is something that we have practiced before, so you should be a little bit better at it. When I point up, you're going to say 3. Ready? And we're going to pick up the pace a little bit. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Great job. Let's continue. Okay, this is where you're going to need your online whiteboard. And this question says, how many groups of 2s do you see? So it's asking, how many groups of 2s do you see? Go ahead and write your answer on your whiteboard. Let's look at our groups. There's 2 in a row, so we have 1 group of 2s, 2 group of 2s, 3 groups of 2s. So how many groups of 2s do we see? 3. Write 2 different multiplication sentences for the array. So go ahead on your whiteboard, and I need 2 multiplication sentences for this array. Okay, let's take a look at what those 2 might be. First, for my first one, I'm going to figure out how many groups. Well, we already said there's 1, 2, 3 groups, or 3 rows. 3 rows of 1, 2. 2 in each row. Okay? And if I skip count, there are 2, 4, 6. So 3 rows of 2 equals 6. Now, from what we've learned from the commutative property, I can take this array and I can flip it on its side so that instead of 3 rows, I have 2 rows. And instead of 2 in each row, I'll have 3 in each row. So what I did is I took that array and I turned it on its side. And now I don't have 3 rows anymore. I have 1, 2. 2 rows of 1, 2, 3. If I skip count by 3s, I get 3, 6. 2 rows of 3 equals 6. So now I have these 2 different multiplication problems for this array. And you'll notice that the answer has stayed the same and the factors flip-flopped. So it went from 3 times 2 and it flipped to 2 times 3, okay? And the commutative property says we can take those two factors and switch it, and the answer stays the same. Okay, here's a new array. Go ahead and clear your whiteboard. The question is, how many groups of 5s do you see? Go ahead and write that answer on your whiteboard. How many groups of 5s do you see? All right, let's look at our groups. 1 row of 5, 2 rows of 5, 3 rows of 5. So how many groups of 5s do we have? We have 3 groups of 5. Write 2 different multiplication sentences for the array. So, same as our last problem, except it's a different array. We need 2 different multiplication sentences for this array. Go ahead and write both of those multiplication sentences. If it helps you, you can draw the other array, take it and turn it on its side to help you write the second equation. All right, so let's go ahead and do our first equation based on the array we see in front of us. We have 1, 2, 3 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each row. 3 rows of 5, or 3 groups of 5. Let's skip count to solve. 5, 10, 15. 3 groups of 5 equals 15. Now, to make our equation for the second array, we could just take our 3 and our 5 and flip-flop them. But I'm going to also go ahead and draw the array to show it. So instead of having 3 rows, I'll have 5 rows. And instead of having 5 in each row, I'll have 3 in each row. Because I took the 3 and the 5 and I flipped it. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and 1, 2, 3 in each row. So I took this 3 and this 5 and I flipped it, and I know that if I take the two numbers and switch them, the answer stays the same. So I know the answer has to be 15. But let's go ahead and skip count to check our work. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And the answers are the same. And that's the commutative property. You can take the two factors and switch them, and the answer stays the same. Okay, so on your board, you're going to go ahead and fill in the blank. Here is the equation. It says 4 times 2 equals 2 times blank. If you want, you can just write the answer. Or if it's easier for you, you can write the whole equation out. You do not need to draw the array unless you believe it is going to help you, but we're going to go through this a little quickly, so you may not have time. Just thinking about what you know from these factors in the commutative property, In multiplication, you can take two numbers and flip them and the answer stays the same. So what can we do with these two factors to make an equation that is the same? Okay, so we had a problem like this yesterday, and I knew on the homework, and I know it threw a few people off because 4 times 2 doesn't equal 2. And you're right. It's saying that this equation is the same as, so this equals means the same. 4 times 2 is the same as 2 times what? Well, if we take 4 times 2 and we flip it, then we'll have 2 times 4. So you're just taking those two factors and flipping it. So 4 times 2 equals 2 times 4. And here's another one for you. 9 times 5 equals 5 times blank. Go ahead and fill that in on your board. So this one might have come to you a little bit faster, right? We have 9 and 5. We have 9 and 5. We're just going to take it and flip it. So then the 5 comes first and the 9 comes last. So 9 times 5 equals 5 times 9. So all we're saying is that the equation of 9 times 5 is the same as the equation of 5 times 9 because they will both have the same answer. Here's another one. 3 times 6 equals 6 times blank. Go ahead and fill in that blank. Okay, so take those two numbers and flip them. 3 times 6 equals 6 times 3. We just take the 3, it was at the beginning, now it's at the end. The 6 was at the end, now it's at the beginning. And we don't even have to solve because we're just showing that those two equations are the same, which means they'll have the same answer. All right, now on your whiteboard, you're going to skip count by 3s 4 times and write each number. So I'm going to write my blanks down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and skip count by 3s 4 times. So you're going to fill in 4 blanks. Okay, so if we count by 3s 4 times, we have 3, 6, 9, 12. And if it's hard for you to do that, remember, you can always hold up 3 fingers and go 3, 4, 5, 6, and then write it. And then keep going. 7, 8, 9, and then keep writing. 10, 11, 12. Okay? Draw an array to match your count where the number of rows represents the number of groups. Well, let's count how many groups we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. So that means that we should have 4 rows. Go ahead and draw an array to match our skip count. So we'll have 4 rows And we're counting by threes. So how many will be in each row? Go ahead and draw that out. Okay, so we need 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're skip counting by 3, which means there needs to be 3 in each group so that when we do our skip count, we're counting by threes. So if we skip counted this, it would be 3, 6, 9, 12. And you'll see that our skip count for that array matches our skip count that we did over here. So last of all, we're going to turn our array. So let's switch it up. Instead of having 4 rows, now we only have 3 rows. Instead of having 3 in each row, now we have 4 in each row. We took our 4 and our 3 and we switched it. So we took our array and we tipped it over on its side. The question now is, how many rows and columns does it show? 1, 2, 3 rows. So 3 rows of 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here we had 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of 1, 2, 3. So we know that 4 times 3 equals 3 times 4. They are the same array tipped over on its side. The same 2 factors, we just flip them and we know the answer stays the same. And since we practiced counting by 4s today, we can go ahead and check our work by counting by 4s over here on this array. 4, 8, 12. Okay, that is all for today. So what you will be doing now is going into your Google Classroom for week 7 and working on your IXL skill for today. Go ahead and get started.